It was a slow Friday afternoon at Miller's Diner, one of those old roadside spots with squeaky booths and a jukebox that still took quarters, the kind of place where you could smell coffee brewing even before you stepped inside. The neon sign out front flickered "Open," though half the bulbs had burned out years ago. Regulars didn't mind. They liked that the diner hadn't changed with time. Across the street, an older man sat on the curb beside a small shopping cart filled with a few blankets, a coat, and a paper coffee cup. His gray beard was uneven, his hands weathered. Every so often he'd glance at the diner door like he was waiting for someone who never came. Most folks in town had gotten used to seeing him around. Some offered spare change. Others just pretended he wasn't there. That day, a group of high school kids came in. 4 of them, laughing louder than necessary, full of that kind of energy that comes from feeling invisible and invincible at the same time. Among them was a 17-year-old named Jake Miller. No relation to the diner's owner, though the name always got him a free smile from the waitress. Jake was the kind of kid who did well enough in school, but liked attention more than grades. His friends followed his lead because he always seemed sure of himself. They crowded into a booth near the window, ordering milkshakes and fries. When Jake looked outside, he saw the old man by the curb, sipping from his cup. He smirked. "Hey, there's that guy again. Still camped out in front like he owns the place." One of his friends laughed, and another pulled out his phone. "You should go offer him a fry," someone joked. "Maybe he'll trade you his shopping cart." The laughter that followed was careless, the kind that fills quiet spaces without thinking. Their waitress, Emily, came over with a notepad in hand. She was in her mid-20s, with tired eyes that still found ways to smile. She'd grown up in town, knew most faces by name. "You boys want anything else?" she asked, glancing toward their milkshakes. Jake shook his head, grinning. "Nah, we're good. Just enjoying the view." She followed his gaze out the window and then back at him. Her expression didn't change much, but her voice lost its sweetness. "Maybe pick a different view." The table went silent for a second, but Jake brushed it off. "Relax, we're just kidding." Emily didn't respond. She turned away, refilling coffee for a trucker at the counter. A few minutes later, one of Jake's friends dared him to take a selfie with the man outside. Jake hesitated, half amused, half uncomfortable. Then he saw his reflection in the window and straightened his hair. "Fine, one picture. Chill, it's just for fun." He slid out of the booth and walked outside with his phone in hand. The old man looked up as Jake approached. "Hey, sir," he said, trying to sound casual. "You okay out here?" The man nodded slowly. "I'm fine, son. Just waiting on someone." His voice was soft, almost polite. Jake took a step back and lifted his phone. "Mind if I—" But before he could finish, Emily's voice cut through the glass. "Jake, inside, now!" He froze, startled. She was standing at the doorway, her apron still on, hands planted on her hips. Something in her tone, not angry but firm, made him obey without question. Inside, she leaned close and said quietly, "That man deserves more respect than you'll ever know." Her voice trembled slightly. "He's not some random stranger." Jake frowned, defensive. "Then who is he?" She looked out the window again. "He used to own this diner." The table went quiet again, but this time the laughter didn't return. Emily didn't say more. She just walked away, leaving the boys sitting there with the uncomfortable feeling that they'd just crossed a line they couldn't see. Jake watched her refill coffee for another customer, her shoulders stiff. The old man was still outside, staring at the diner sign. Jake's chest tightened with guilt he didn't understand. "Used to own this diner?" he whispered to himself. He looked around at the checkered floor, the neon lights, the menu board with fading letters. It was hard to picture that man as anything but what he seemed now. When the check came, Jake left a few bills on the table, more than the meal cost, and mumbled something about needing air. His friend stayed behind. Outside, he hesitated before walking toward the man again. "Hey," he said quietly, "I didn't mean to bother you earlier." The man smiled faintly. "It's all right. Kids laugh. I used to laugh too." He gestured to the sign above the door. "Built that place with my own hands 35 years ago. Thought it would stay in the family forever." His voice drifted like he was speaking to memory more than to Jake. "Then the recession hit. I paid my staff with what I had left. Couldn't pay the bank. Lost the place. Lost a lot of things after that." Jake didn't know what to say. "So, Emily?" The man nodded. "She's my daughter. She runs it now. Keeps my name on the menu, even though I told her not to." A gust of wind passed between them, carrying the smell of coffee and rain. Jake's throat tightened. "You shouldn't be out here, sir. It's cold." The man shrugged. "I'm used to it. Besides, I get to see the diner lights. Makes me feel like I still belong somewhere." That night, Jake couldn't sleep. The image of the old man sitting under the flickering neon sign haunted him. The next afternoon, he returned to the diner alone. Emily was surprised to see him. "Back for more milkshakes?" she asked, voice cautious. "Actually," he said, "I came to ask if your dad needs anything. I mean, groceries, maybe a blanket or something?" She studied him for a moment, suspicion giving way to something softer. "You don't have to do that," she said. "No, but I want to," Jake replied. Over the next week, Jake stopped by every few days. He brought sandwiches, coffee, and sometimes just conversation. The old man told stories about the diner's early days, how he used to serve free pie on veterans' holidays, how truckers passing through would call him Cap because he always wore his Navy cap even after retirement. Jake listened, fascinated. It wasn't pity anymore, it was respect. One afternoon, Jake found the man missing from his usual spot. Panic flickered through him until he spotted him across the street, sweeping the diner's front steps. Emily stood nearby, arms crossed but smiling. "He insisted," she said. "Said he wanted to feel useful." The man winked at Jake. "Can't sit around forever." That small act didn't go unnoticed. Customers began chatting with him again, offering handshakes and coffee refills. Someone even brought an old photograph of the diner from the 80s, framed it, and hung it by the counter. Word spread through town, and soon the story reached social media, this time for the right reasons. A local reporter stopped by to interview Emily about the former diner owner who still cleaned the front steps out of pride. She gave most of the credit to the teen who cared enough to remind everyone who he really was. Jake hadn't expected any attention. When he saw the article online, his stomach flipped. The photo showed the old man standing by the door with a broom, smiling faintly, and Jake beside him, holding 2 cups of coffee. The caption read, "Kindness comes full circle at Miller's Diner." For once, the comments section was full of warmth instead of judgment. Weeks passed, and the man's health began to fade. Emily closed the diner one afternoon to take him to the hospital. Jake visited, sitting quietly by his bedside. The old man's voice was faint but peaceful. "You gave me my dignity back, son. Don't ever think kindness goes unnoticed." He passed away not long after, his daughter by his side. When the diner reopened, a new plaque hung by the door. It read, "In memory of Captain Harold Miller, founder, father, friend. May we always remember that every person has a story worth hearing." Jake helped install it. He didn't say much, he didn't need to. The look on Emily's face said enough. Over the years, the diner changed hands again, but the plaque stayed. Travelers stopped to read it, some leaving small notes beside it. Locals still tell the story of the boy who mocked a man and ended up honoring him instead. Jake went on to college, studied social work, and came home every Thanksgiving for pie and coffee at the diner that started it all. Sometimes, late at night, when the neon sign flickered against the window, Emily swore she could still see her father sitting outside, not cold, not forgotten, just smiling, as if proud that kindness had finally taken root where laughter had once had. And that's how a single careless moment turned into a story the whole town remembered, not because it was dramatic or tragic, but because it reminded everyone that the smallest choices can reveal the biggest parts of who we are.